We probably need a middle tier here. We have one that says even. One even. Feels like his actual tier. I can't do that. I can't do that. All right. We are going to throw together a matchup chart for Ranno. I think with this character, if you saw the tier list video, you know that I didn't rate him super highly. And I think Ranno's one of those characters that's in a weird spot because for a long time he was insanely broken. Like on release, he was very, very good. Since then, he's gotten some pretty heavy nerfs, and kind of no one else has, other than Orcane. And so it's left him in a weird position where he still has a lot of like the tools of a top tier, or things that you would conventionally consider top tier, but he doesn't actually end up being top tier or even like mid tier to a degree. Just because when you talk about like the amount of cheese in this game, the amount of finesse in this game, Ranno has to play very honestly in that regard. And so, like, if you look at Ranno's strengths, right? Ranno's got a great combo game, right? That's one. Problem is, when you look at all of these characters, is Ranno's combo game any better than any of these? Not really. Maybe like a little more than some, but it's not significantly better than any of those. Okay. What about his ground speed? His ground speed's good. His ground speed's very good. It allows for a lot of baits, but there's a lot of other very fast characters in this game with a lot of range. There's just a lot of other fast characters, but again, his ground speed is very solid. His air speed, worst in the game. That's tough because his jump is very floaty and his air speed is very, very bad, which means that once Ranno's in the air, he is at a heavier disadvantage than every other character in the game. And he also has less like stalling potential than most other characters in the game because he has so many stubby moves, right? Think about, let's say you're in advantage state. Imagine yourself playing Rivals 2, you're in advantage state, and you're underneath a crag, for example. When you're underneath a crag, he can pillar, he can side B, he can down air, he can neutral air, or he can drift back to ledge because he falls very fast. So that's 5 different options, not including jump and air dodge, that the crag can like go to mix you up. And of the ones that you can kind of do something about, some of them are reads. The other one, let's say down air, it's pretty hard to intercept, right? Like, again, think of whatever character you're maining. If you have a crag fast fall down airing out of the sky, that's a pretty scary prospect. Mostly because, again, if you miss, he really ruins your day. Now, what does Ranno have if he's above you? He can try and float to ledge, which he does very slowly. He can bubble, which is like a one-time stall mix-up. And then he can down air. The amount of moves that reliably beat Ranno's down air, especially now that they've nerfed it, is significantly higher. It's significantly easier to deal with. Plus, he doesn't actually have the speed to like position it in any meaningful way. And so you're left with a strangely bad disadvantage state, like one of the worst in the game. On top of his recovery being like decent, but like pretty mediocre. And the reason I say like mediocre is just because like the recoveries in this game are quite strong. And so even though Ranno's recovery is like, again, decent enough, comparatively it's quite weak. Ranno's one of the few characters in this game that you can actually edge guard, which feels insane. What else is tricky? He has kill confirms, some, right? If you don't floor hug or DI down tilt away, down kill can get you a kill confirm really early, which is really nice. There are ways to get like weak fair into upstrong. There are ways to find kill confirms with this character, especially like there's throw mix-ups. There's a lot of good stuff there. I think the difficulty is, again, every other character has about that many ways to find kill confirms, if not more. And his kill moves are relatively quite weak. You can Omz attack Ranno's down strong. We saw it today until 130% and live, even through the kill screen. His fair, if DI'd properly, doesn't kill till, 130, 140. Depending on the stage. His back air doesn't kill till 160, 170 on proper DI. Nair kills at like the same percent. Forward strong, you have to sweet spot. Up strong, you have to sweet spot. And like none of his tilts really set up for anything that reliably. So again, you're left with a character with like decent kill power, but compared to the rest of the cast, not really that good at all. Especially with how long it takes to kill with back air. And one of the things that Ranno is supposed to be particularly good at, and that his like archetype of like the ninja character is supposed to be good at, is like needles is supposed to be like a main component of the kit. Again, the issue is they've nerfed needles so many times that if you are standing in like within dash distance of Ranno, and I hit you with a needle, and you don't floor hug it, you will still, you will be able to punish me. Like, let's say you're a Zetterbird. If I hit you with a needle and you're in dash attack range, you get a true dash attack, even if you didn't floor hug the needle. That's crazy. And that's new, right? It wasn't like that a couple patches ago. And again, compare that to Zetterbird's projectile. If Zetterbird hits you with an unfloor hugged side B, you get upstronged and you take probably 60%. That's a huge difference. That's a huge difference. You can't punish Olympia for hitting you with a crystal at dash range, right? You can't punish Absa for hitting you with a cloud at dash range, but you can punish Ranno if he hits you with a needle. The other aspect that is tough is Ranno, one of the things that this like type of character is supposed to be very good at is edge guarding and whiff punishing. We can keep whiff punishing brief just because like whiff punishing in this game is pretty hard in general. Ranno's like ground speed makes it possible, but again, it's pretty hard. So if that's your like game plan, that's what you're supposed to be good at, you're already in like a higher execution spot than some other characters. But then he's also supposed to be good at edge guarding, which is cool. The issue is everyone's recovery in this game is really good. And so being good at edge guarding doesn't really matter as much because there are so many mix-ups that people can go for, so many positions that people can go for that get them out of bad situations. But also, if he misses or if something goes wrong or like if they get a mix-up, his airspeed is so bad and his recovery is without a jump so bad that now he's in a terrible spot to get back to the stage. And so it's risky doing the thing that you're good at, especially because, again, recoveries are so good that oftentimes people are recovering from a distance away from the stage that Ranno's airspeed doesn't even let him get to. And so you're left with a character that has some like pretty good strengths in terms of his ground speed and combo game, and like he's pretty good off stage. But he has some pretty like staggering weaknesses compared to a lot of the other characters in the cast, and not really a reliable way to deal with them that doesn't involve a ton of risk for him. And so again, I think that's why this character, he's high execution, he's high difficulty at a top level, and he's like low forgiveness. So he can do it, and I think the thesis of this, like as a whole, is that he can do it. Like every other character, he can do it. And he can do it well. It's just hard. It's a lot harder. And when you look at like what these characters need to do to like ruin your day, It's like 1/3 of what he's trying to do with like 1/3 of the execution. So either way, that is going to flavor the matchup chart, and that's going to flavor why I do and don't believe in some matchups. So let's kind of hop into this. We'll start with this. I think this one's obvious. I think this one's obvious. Lorena's the only character in the game with an actual bad recovery. She's the only character in the entire game with a recovery that is actually gimpable, and Ranno, because of this, eats her the fuck alive. I imagine Lorena is what they envisioned him doing to everyone, but if you have fully charged needles as Ranno, and the Lorena is recovering at 60+%, you should kill her every time. It's so simple. There's like a rinse repeat on it. She only has a couple mix-ups, and even then, like it's pretty reliable for you and pretty difficult for her. On stage, you also have the speed to deal with chair. Forward air is a reliable way of getting the chair off the stage. And you also have a very reliable way of like breaking into her zone, on top of being floaty, which can make it a little hard for her to combo you. You really dominate this character. It does not feel hard, having played it a couple times. You should win this most of the time. The only time when things get sketchy, obviously, is like if you get hit with a forward strong, if you get hit with a down strong at the wrong moment, or catch yourself like not DIing correctly. This character can blow you up if you make mistakes, but realistically, you should be winning this most of the time. No one else feels as easy as this, like not even close. So we kind of move down from there. Into the matchups that still feel like you win them, but they require a little bit more finesse. I think this is one of them. Galvin has like a decent enough neutral and a decent enough combo game against Ranno, but his recovery is also on the weaker side, which means that you are able to try and go out and get him. And Galvin often wants to like camp you a little bit with his magnet, and he often wants you to kind of run into him. And because Ranno can just charge needles in response to that and force him to take damage for pressing buttons, he kind of implicitly has to get into like a situation he's not super comfortable in. And I think the last thing on top of this is you combo this character very heavily. So you just have a couple things going for you. That being said, Galvin will kill you earlier than you kill him. 100%. And you have to be ready for this. Like, Galvin's quite good against Ranno off stage. So you just have to be ready to mix up your recoveries. You have to be ready to go for something maybe like a little bit unconventional. And you have to be ready to, like, sometimes you're just going to die early. And that's what it is, if I'm being honest. All right, moving on to other characters that I think Ranno beats. Or at least does decent against. I'm looking at the cast right now. Orcane is in here. Orcane is honestly almost here. Ranno does quite well against Orcane. Ranno is fast enough to contest bubbles most of the time. Additionally, because Orcane doesn't have like these like big sweeping approaching moves, needles are quite good at stuffing him. Orcane often has to press a lot of buttons to get what he's trying to do done. Ranno's floaty enough that he's not often in Orcane's combos all the time. And again, Orcane's recovery isn't the greatest of all time, and so Ranno doesn't have too bad a time like edge guarding it, and then can punish Orcane pretty heavily if you get him on stage and kind of force that into the right position. I think the difficulty in this matchup is, again, Orcane does quite well against you off stage, conversely. And there's always the potential that you get hit with just like a big Orcane smash attack. But I don't think that makes up for the fact that you kind of dominate the pace in neutral and you're pretty good off stage. You have a better combo game against Orcane than he has against you. And so as long as you don't get caught above Orcane or like deep off stage, you should be okay. The only difficult thing, the other difficult thing is if you get caught doing like predictable bubbles, then Orcane will forward air you deep off stage and it'll take your stock very early. This one is like winning with an asterisk. And what do I mean by that? If you are willing to sit there and throw needles all game, you will beat Loxodon. You can throw needles, you can try and force him to approach, you can put him in weird spots, and then you can execute off stage so that he can't get back. That being said, if you try to approach or engage with this character at any time, it becomes this. So you have to not. If you run at Loxodon, it goes from here to here. And so this is the difference of like, what is the proper way to play the game? What is the correct way to fight Loxodon? And then also, how do you contextualize that with, not getting bored effectively? Because like I said, there's a right way to do it, which is just to like make him approach, find those moments to land like a dash attack, to land a grab, push him off stage, and then like do what you can off stage. There's often like ways to force Loxodon into uncomfortable spots, especially because if you parry the up B, you can down strong, which is quite good against him. But it's not always. It's not always. So you got to be very careful with this one. Moving down to characters that feel like they have an even matchup. Characters that feel even across the board. I would say Zetterburn's one of them. Zetterburn is probably the highest tier character that I would say Ranno does well against. Zetterburn is often trying to get up close with Ranno. He's often trying to scrap with you, which is where you want him to be. Needle is a good poke check. You have decent enough anti-airs for stuffing out Zetter's approaches. And again, if you make a big read off stage, you're typically pretty happy against Zetterburn because at the very least you can force him to recover high and then you get like a punish as a result of that. This matchup doesn't feel too bad. Where this matchup really starts sucking ass is when the Zetterburn one is willing to go off stage and challenge your bubble. Not all of them are. The other part where it feels super ass is Zetterburn is going to get harder punishes on you than you're going to get on him, which doesn't inherently make the matchup worse, but it means you have to play a very careful neutral. Because, for example, if you get hit with like a forward air from a Ranno at like, let's say 20, you just hold away and dash back and there's nothing Ranno can follow up with. If you get hit with a Zetterburn forward air at 20%, you're taking 50. And so you have to be careful in that regard. And then Shine up strong kills Ranno at like, I want to say 90%, very early. Yeah, it's very it's very volatile in that regard where if he hits you with the right move, you just explode and die. So again, like optimistically even, but it's one where you have to be very, very careful. Another matchup that feels even. Both of you are kind of trying to do the same thing, and both of you don't do it particularly well. Maple is more edge guardable this patch than she was before, which makes a big difference in terms of how this matchup ends up looking. You're able to contest when she's trying to set up Lily. If she dash attacks your shield or does anything unsafe, you get a huge punish on her. You kind of get whatever you want. You have a solid combo game on her. And again, you kind of keep up with her in neutral because you're also very fast. Again, the difficulty is she combos you very heavily. She can put you deep off stage. She has the range advantage on you. Your moves are like very stubby comparatively. She's going to win trades almost 100% of the time. And yeah, so there's some difficulty in there. Both these characters can have a little bit of trouble killing if the situation presents itself. So I would say just like use caution with both of them. But this matchup feels like smack dab pretty much in the middle for me. I think it could go either way. Forsburn's another character I would have an even. Needles are quite good at clearing smoke. Again, Forsburn's recovery is not the greatest in the game, and so if you make a big read on Ranno, or if you have fully charged needles, you can oftentimes snipe his clone, which puts him in a really tough spot off stage. He has the range advantage on you, and he has the burst range advantage on you, which can be really hard to deal with. So you do have to use some like tricky movement in neutral to like win neutral. But I've also found that Ranno's weight is kind of weird for Forsburn, where he's not getting as much as he typically would. So again, it's one of those like explosive matchups where you have to be very careful in neutral. You have to play around needle. But when you can find those big moments, there are opportunities to go for them for sure. And then looking at the rest of the cast, trying to think if I would have anything else here in even. Probably not. Raster's gonna be the first character in tough. Yeah, Raster's not like too bad. I think the difficulty is when side B's online, Raster's just as fast as you. Side B will go through your needles, so he's just able to like ignore the stuff that you're trying to do. Off stage, Ranno can contest Raster decently well because of super jump, so even if he goes high, he can harass a little bit. But it's more difficult than some of the other characters. And Raster can harass Ranno off stage because he can go so deep. So a confident Raster is going to give you a really hard time in that regard. Both these characters lose to floor hugging, which means they kind of just floor hug each other into like a shitty situation. But I think more times than not, Raster's weight also prevents him from getting hit with kill confirms that pretty much everyone else gets hit by. So he gets out of some of those kill confirms, and you don't really get out of his as easily. And so I think it just ends with neutral's pretty even. Off stage is pretty good for the both of you. His off stage is a little better, and his punish game on you is a little better as well. So it ends up feeling difficult, at least in my opinion. Another character that is difficult but not impossible is Edalus. Edalus is in a weird spot where in neutral, you actually feel pretty decent against Edalus, right? You have movement to play around icicles, you have movement to play around dash attack, and once you're actually able to grab or hit Edalus, you get a very strong combo against him. Like, really good. You're able to hit him pretty hard. The difficulty is, if he hits you with the right hit above 60%, he will edgeguard you and you will die, and there's nothing you can do about it. Ranno is one of the characters that unfortunately Edalus kind of puts in checkmate scenarios off stage, because his recovery is just not good enough. And so even at times where you feel like you have a pretty heavy advantage against Edalus, you just don't. And that sucks. That's pretty hard to deal with. The other aspect of it is you'd think Ranno would be really good against Edalus off stage, but Edalus can often recover far enough away from the stage that Ranno can't back air him because his airspeed is so bad. And Edalus up air will beat Ranno's dare, which means if you go down to like dare him off the stage, or even if you go down to try and like falling back air or nair, and he does up air, you will die at 40%. So he's not nearly as easy to contest as you would think he would be. There's a lot of risk involved with it, and it just ends with a situation where it's like, yeah, neutral is decent, and you get a pretty good punish game on him, but his punish game on you is better, and if he gets you off stage, he really, really puts on the hurt, if I'm being honest. Olympia is another character I would have in, like, just slightly losing. I think Ranno has a lot of good, like, Olympia-specific stuff, right? He's got up throw combos that only work on Olympia. He's got up tilt combos that only work on Olympia. So he's got a lot of, like, creative and strong Olympia-specific stuff, including a bunch of kill confirms that just work on her. And, like, an ability to contest her off stage that doesn't always work, but, like, when it does, hits pretty good. The problem is kind of everything else. Gem is better than Needle in like most ways at this point. And Olympia's ability to press buttons on shield, get reward off grab, and like find kill confirms are all just better than Ranno's. She basically does a lot of what you're trying to do more consistently, minus like the offstage stuff. And so in a game where you're like scrapping back and forth and like trying to hit these tech chases and doing all this stuff and putting on damage, right? You both get each other to 90, and then Olympia just hits you with a kill confirm, whereas Ranno's trying to like find something still. And so the game is often not decided by like how neutral's going or even how the punish is looking until those percentages where you have to take a stock, and Olympia just does it with a lot more ease and kind of just falls into finding some of those moves. Some people would have this at worse. I would have it here. Yeah. Abs is hard because pretty much none of your combos work against her. Once she gets past around 70%, you have to kill her with a raw hit. I think you're decent against her off stage, and that can kind of make up for it. And Super Jump can kind of harass the area that she wants to be in. Plus, like, you can get decent reward off parries. But your combo game basically doesn't work on her. She's able to set up a lot of strong situations against you off stage where she's much stronger at gimping you than you are her. And she's pretty consistent in neutral with like how big her wave dash is now. She has a pretty significant burst range that is pretty hard for Ranno to react to. And like Abs's forward tilt is more disjointed than anything Ranno has. And so if she hits you with like a forward tilt fair and you just die at like, 85% near the side of the stage, yeah, it can just be hard. But I don't think it's as hard as a bunch of people are saying, if I'm being honest. I think there's room in here for adjustment. Other character I would have here is Crag. Again, you get a very strong combo game on Crag. You can harass Crag off stage, even though there's like some pretty heavy risk to it. If you're confident, you can really go off stage and get him. Again, the problem is that he's Crag. That doesn't really matter. If he has a rock on the screen or if he's holding a rock, your needles just don't fucking matter at all. His combo game is as good on you as it is on him, except his kills. And if he calls you out off stage ever, which Crag absolutely will, he kills you so much earlier than you kill him that, again, even if you're playing this like back and forth neutral, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, hitting Crag off stage at 90 has much different implications than when Crag hits you off stage at 90. And it ends up making it feel quite a bit more difficult. All right, the last two are down here. This matchup fucking sucks. It feels so hard. Why does this matchup feel hard? The one thing that is good about it is Fleet is kind of slow. And you're fast. So you can kind of try to run at her. The difficulty is pretty much every one of Fleet's moves will outrange every one of your moves. Just pretty much across the board. It's a good like heuristic to have. Fleet destroys you off stage. You can do some okay, like decent stuff against Fleet off stage, but it's nothing compared to what she does to you. For example, if you hit Fleet with a sweet spot back air by the ledge at 140%, she might live, she might die. If Fleet hits you with a back air near the ledge at 110, you are more than likely dead. And again, that's just like one particular thing, but Ranno's really slow air drift and air speed makes it really easy for Fleet to snipe him with up smashes. She can oftentimes get him just raw, if not off the back of a combo. Again, she's really good at stuffing him out. She's really good at edge guarding him. She's solid at playing keep away and neutral, and she has lots of mix-ups that stop needles just because of her side B. So she does a lot of stuff good against Ranno. Again, if you're able to get her off stage, you can do stuff back to her, but most of your combos don't even like reliably work against her. So this matchup's pretty hard. The other matchups that's really fucking hard is this one. Yeah, Claren is like pretty much never incentivized to approach you. Because why would she be? You can needle Claren. The difficulty with that is if you needle Claren and she's in dash range, you will get tipper jabbed and die. So you can't needle Claren without thinking about it because she will kill confirm you at any percent if you needle her too close to you. Every move she has is bigger than every move you have. Your really slow airspeed means it's really easy for her to shark you with up tilt. Claren's combo game is still Claren's combo game. It doesn't matter that Ranno's floaty. Claren's very good at going out and hitting the bubble so that you don't get your full recovery. And Claren just dominates neutral in this matchup. Interacting with her is so risky at like every point. And once she gets you to 90, it feels impossible to interact with her without dying. Because it's just, you have to guess. At a certain point, you have to guess. And this is another matchup where you have to camp her extremely hard. It's just like, even if you camp her, you're still playing a losing game because she can do it back. The nice things about this matchup, again, similar to Crag, it's not too hard to like contest Claren off stage and at least force her into a bad position. You can do that pretty reliably. And she's like a good weight for combos. So like once you actually find a hit, you can often push it like decently far, but it's always less far than she's going to push it, like guaranteed. And back throw tipper forward smash will kill you at 80% by the ledge. So, and forward throw tipper F smash will also kill you at around those percents. So you have to be very careful. This matchup's hard. But I think overall, like, this matchup spread isn't the worst thing in the world. This might be a little bit optimistic in terms of, like, what he's actually winning. But it's not the worst thing in the world, right? It could be worse. I think this character needs some love. I think the reason that people find Ranno so frustrating is because there's so many situations against characters like this and this and this and this, where he's just forced to camp. Like, that's his only viable game plan, without taking like a really painstaking amount of risk to try and approach you. And they've nerfed so many of the things he's supposed to be good at. Like, they've nerfed his movement, they've nerfed his recovery, they've nerfed his ability to kill with forward air and back air. They've nerfed his edge guarding as a result of that. Like, they've nerfed a lot of things that have been pretty core to his identity. And unlike a certain character, he has not received any compensation buffs for all of those nerfs. And so he's in a spot now where he's like high execution. You have to camp with him in certain matchups. And the things that he's good at, he isn't quite as good at as everyone else. So, yeah. You just got to be careful. You just got to be careful. That being said, I think this is probably how I feel about it for now at the very least. I'm hoping he gets a little bit of love in the future. I would be down if they like nerfed certain parts of his kit and then like buffed certain other parts of his kit to make his identity a little more clear, a little bit more secure. But like as it stands, it's not in the best spot right now. He feels like one of those characters, kind of like Raster, who and Arcane, who they don't really know what to do with, and they're just kind of leaving in an awkward spot right now. Because he has the potential to be so fun and so cool. So hopefully in the future that gets addressed. But we are going to post this. We're going to clip it and ship it.